Are you a life coach who wants to make a difference in the world? Do you want to share your wisdom, passion, and experience with others? Do you want to grow your business and reach more clients? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need Life Coaching Today. Life Coaching Today is the largest platform on the web for life coaches, therapists, and hypnotherapists who want to enhance their visibility, gain exposure, and connect with clients. Life Coaching Today is more than just a directory. It's a network of opportunities. By joining Life Coaching Today, you will get access to a magazine where you can be featured and connect with over 30 million subscribers. Be a guest to our podcasts with over 55,000 subscribers. A directory where you can showcase your profile, services, and testimonials to thousands of potential clients. And that's not all. Life Coaching Today also offers a free 30-minute coaching session on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where you can be coached or meet your next client. A flexible pricing plan where you can choose the best option for your budget and goals. A dedicated customer service team where you can get help and guidance whenever you need it. So what are you waiting for? Join Life Coaching Today and take your life coaching career to the next level. Visit www.lifecoachingtoday.com and sign up today. Life Coaching Today, the largest portal on the web connecting coaches, therapists, and hypnotherapists.
Hey everyone, good morning. I am texting a guest to see if I can actually reach her this morning. But good morning. My name is Kadada Esmera Gray, and welcome to Life Coaching Today Presents. I have not had coffee yet, so I may take a sip of coffee at some point in time, but that's okay. But welcome for waking up with me this morning. Not that I don't love y'all, but I'm trying to reach this guest, y'all, this morning. So last minute kind of changes because I think that perspective is interesting and not mine alone is that important. So if you're listening, sister girl, we're trying to reach you. So Yoruba, can you see if you can try to reach her on the back end? I would appreciate it. Yoruba is my wonderful and awesome producer. And so good morning again. I am Kadada Esmera Gray, conflict coach with Life Coaching Today Presents. And I am showcasing my, when you get your hair done, I got my hair done last night. And I had to have big hair, y'all, because Diana Ross is in town tomorrow night. And that is one of my awesome birthday gifts. I feel like every week, it has been 2 weeks since I've spoken to y'all. So here are some quick updates. I celebrated my birthday, and hopefully that Yoruba will post photos of that so y'all can see those on Cat Williams' internet. And so, see, my sister girls, we went out and did high tea at the Ritz-Carlton because we're fancy over here. And just changed it up. And y'all, I have not celebrated my birthday since 2018 because I am always working. That's what happens in politics. But this year I wasn't willing to sacrifice. I am now a great 49 years old and I'm still celebrating my birthday. So y'all, I had no behavior. So that's what happens when you come out in these streets. And I don't come out often, y'all, but why not? Sometimes you just got to do and change it up. I'm 49, y'all. I'm almost 50, which I don't even know what I'm going to do next year. But 49 has been great so far. I love it. So if you are awake with me, hit me up on Facebook. Tell me good morning. Let me know that you are here because we have an interesting topic this morning, a very interesting topic. If we look forward, this Sunday is Mother's Day. So I'm going to say happy Mother's Day from the Life Coaching Today team and the Life Coaching Today Presents team over here. And we are going to talk about something that's a little bit, it makes people feel a little uncomfortable. Some people kind of wish it would go away. But for me, I can promise you all, it has been in my spirit for years to talk about teen moms and what occurs with teen mothers. And And so that's our topic today, because I feel like they are silent but loudly shamed. And good morning, Emily Leslie. Emily was one of my sister girls at my birthday party this weekend. She is one of my besties. And I've got like a group like of besties, of best sister girls. So I don't want to talk too much about news stories or anything like that, because I want to get into this topic today. And basically, this is going to be based on my life story. Because I am, depending on where you're at in this life with the vernacular play of the day, is a teen mom. So we're gonna talk about that. But I want to share this story with you all because I sometimes the shenanigans I don't understand. And we talk about here on the show, I talk about identity a lot, who we are, how we have our labels, and that is going to be a trend in this discussion today as well. However, I guess I don't talk about too often how other people perceive you. And this story made me think about that, because there was I'm gonna give y'all the highlights because it's some shenanigans. That's all I'm gonna say, and that's my polite word this morning. So a young woman went to prom, right? Because it's prom season. We are seeing. I'm pausing because I gotta learn how to be polite this morning. Some fabulous prom dresses. We are seeing some not so fabulous prom dresses, and so, but no matter what, it is prom season, right? And so this young lady, she went to prom the other day. Now, this sister girl is a sister girl of color. She is a Hispanic sister girl. Good morning, Tiffany. A Hispanic sister and Latino. And so I just want to kind of paint the landscape. Excuse me. So at her school, there are 5 Latinos. 5. Okay. So now here comes prom season. She is deciding what it is that she wants to wear for prom. And guess what? She decides to wear her quince dress. And I can't ever pronounce the larger word, quinceañera dress. These dresses are beautiful. And, they are worn as a coming out dress for coming out party when you are determined from transitioning from a younger lady to a woman, right? A young woman. And so that is the dress she wore. Y'all, why did they escort her out with security guards out of her own prom? Because they said she was, it was cultural appropriation. Now, here's why I talk about identity. Because she is a Latina sister who is wearing her cultural gown, and they accused her of cultural appropriation, and they put her out of her prom. They put that young lady out of her prom. And so, once again, there's only 5 Latinos in the entire school. So this young man, a Hispanic brother, went and did some digging, found out that before the prom, there was a complaint was made prior to prom about her wearing this dress. So more than likely, it was a white individual that made the complaint. And so, interestingly enough, it was kind of like, what? Like, so I say all that to say, when you know who you are, and sometimes the labels, like cultural appropriation is sometimes I think that word is a symptom. I also think it's a problem. And sometimes I think it's identity. And I'm going to say this falls into the identity category, where some of this is some foolishness, because obviously the other end does not know what the hell that means. And so some of the responses in the chat boxes or whatever was just kind of like, hey, the girls were probably hating on her because she's pretty. Could be. But, for grown adults who are in administration that didn't know what is going on, or didn't even know, like, that's not cultural appropriation. So what they did not know is that one of the friends of the family is a racial discrimination lawyer. And so that high school and school system is being sued for $250,000. Up, snap for that. Take them for all their money, all of it. And so it's really interesting, once again, how people look at you, receive you, and put all these kind of labels and misuse those labels too, right? Or some of our isms and all of those things. So yeah, that's my thing. Yeah, that's so I could talk about a whole lot of stuff. So y'all know I had my birthday. Oh, my bestie is in town, y'all. So she has been here, loving on me as I have been loving on her. So the bestie flew in for my birthday. I love her, Max Anjanetta Jones. Oh, I do want to say that this week I have had some sister girls who have had birthdays too. And because it's Taurus season and we are pretty girls over here, I just want to say happy birthday to Marla Puritan. And so happy birthday to her. And then today, one of my ride or dies all the way back from college days, Jay King, her birthday is today. I don't know how old she is because she's an actress, and they're like 25 for life. So Yoruba, if we can take a break really quick, I would appreciate you, because Lord knows I need to take a sip of something, this coffee this morning, before we get started. And we are going to talk about, like I said, the title of Teen Mom. What about, I want to kind of dismantle this idea of shame and let people know you can overcome, but also give you all some statistics, because there's some really interesting information about teen pregnancies. And now that I'm thinking about it, someone reminded me that I need to do a show about teen fathers, because that information is not as prevalent, as we don't really even talk about teen fathers. That would be an interesting show. I'm sure somebody would get in their feelings. I'm sure someone's going to get in their feelings about this show as well today. So if we could take a break, and maybe we can't. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a sip, because y'all.
Welcome to Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kadana.
One of the biggest challenges for coaches, practitioners, and hypnotherapists is getting clients. As coaches ourselves, we know how difficult it is on social media to stand out and gain credibility. That is why at Life Coaching Today, we connect coaches like you with clients. It all starts with our directory, where it's possible to create a profile that gets the right exposure with over 12,000 hits a month. You can gain credibility by writing for Life Coaching Today magazine, add videos, be interviewed on our podcast, teach classes in the community, and sell your products directly from our website. Not to mention, we actually connect clients who are actively searching for coaches who can best serve them. So if you are struggling to get clients, have Life Coaching Today help you get more clients. Go to lifecoachingtoday.com.
Okay, y'all, I am back. If you are joining me, my name is Kadada Esmera Gray. I'm a conflict coach, and welcome. Thank you for getting up with me this morning, for waking up. And can we just say the joy of the Lord is ours this morning, just to be able to wake up, because Lord knows we are missing a lot of people in this world today. I will share that today's topic may be a little bit challenging for people. It may upset individuals and can be deemed a little scandalous. And why scandalous? Because how dare you promote certain things? Because I know what people listen to and what people hear, are two different things. And so we're going to test them today, y'all. We're going to test those type of people today. So the topic on the floor today is about teen moms and success stories. And I use the quotations because I'm challenged by that, the success, right? But we'll get into that, and I am going to use my own story as a guiding light. So I don't know, y'all, where and how this conversation is going to go, but I do want to begin with some statistics. So first and foremost, in the United States, the teen birth rate has dropped by 3% in 15 to 19-year-old girls. I don't know why we started with 15-year-olds. I don't know why they ended with 19-year-olds, and we do know younger women than that get pregnant. So 15 to 19-year-olds. And then what's interesting is since 1991, that birth rate has been dropping, with the exception of the years 2006 to 2007. I don't know what occurred in 2006 and 2007 that it shot up and increased, but it did. And so those are some interesting statistics right there. So it is decreasing. One of the other things is that I want to tell you all that in Western nations, teen pregnancy is seen as a social issue, and a bad thing. And those countries are in the United States, in Canada, Western Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. And since I live in the 50 states of United States of America, we're going to focus here. So I thought that was interesting that socially, what I mean by socially, for a clear understanding, is how it is perceived to be a teen mom. What is the thought process? What people think about in their heads when they see a teen mom, when their daughters become pregnant, when the churches find out a young woman in the choir is pregnant, right? So, and we see it as a problem. One of the main things is because not necessarily that they're pregnant, it's because that they're unmarried and pregnant. I thought that was extremely interesting. So interesting. Out of all the countries and continents in the world, Africa has the highest rate of teen pregnancy. And that's a little different culturally. And because there are so many different countries, we still have tribes and everything over there in Africa. So to study that is just amazing. And to figure that out is too much. So if you know me, I'm a why person. Why is this occurring? So we talk about the social determinants, meaning the reasons why that things are occurring. And so I always go to research. If y'all don't know me, if y'all don't know Google Scholar, find it, because that's where the facts lie. Okay. And so I just want to say, I want to make a clear clarification, because a lot of research uses the language may, maybe. They are not confirmed. It means may means to believe, to think so, versus are. And most of us, meaning A-R-E, most of us live in the space of are, which can also mean a false belief system, right? So to be true or almost to be true, right? So there's a difference. And so here are some reasons why teen pregnancy may occur. So that is young women may have low education, low income levels. They actually might be in foster care. So that is some of the highlights. Now, I'm just going to tell y'all what I did not see in the research. Nowhere in the research did it say that these young women are fast. They didn't say they were hypersexualized. That is not in the research. So I just want to point that out. And I also want to pause and say good morning. I see I have some family members here. I see Gloria. I see my auntie. I see Miss Colette. Some of my sister girls are in the space. If I missed you, that means I can't see you. That's all. Don't take it personally. So good morning to you all and welcome. So I just want to say that again, because my mind works in the space of why. Why is this occurring? And so nowhere did it say that these young women are fast. And I'm using language that is more mainly used in Black communities where, you have young women that are half naked or they're really seeking out relationships and sexual relationships with men. So that is not in the research, y'all. Not at all. So that's just something to think about. I like those kind of things because sometimes we need to know the whys. But there are definitely challenges with the story of teen momhood. And I want to just give it a little political spin because I want to say I'm not championing, that's what I'm trying to say, championing young women going out to get pregnant. I'm not, because like I said, I was a teen mom. I literally had my son, my first child, a month before my 16th birthday. A lot of people are really shocked by that because guess what? I did not meet any of those criterias of the May. I didn't have low education. I didn't come from a family of low income levels. I had foster care. I had a mommy and a daddy and all of those things, even though my parents were separated, but I still had a mommy and daddy. So, and I couldn't have been deemed fast because I got pregnant the first time that I had sex or tried to have sex, and that's a different conversation. And I had some understanding of what sex could do and happen and all that kind of stuff. But I say all that to say that there is kind of like, politically, I live in the space of what is going to occur, right? And if it's here, we have to deal with what is here. Yes, we talk about prevention. And so, but sometimes we know in the United States by research, you can go look it up, Google Scholar is your friend, that some of these preventative measures that we talk about don't work. They're not functionally working. We can keep talking about it, but politically, we know that across the United States, women are losing the ability to have abortions. So I personally feel as if we're going to see an increase of teen pregnancies in the United States. And not because of, and I mean, carried full term, because we're going to lose the access to abortions. And so that is just something for us to think about in this space. So, and what's interesting to me is that a lot of people talk about, especially a lot of men, sorry guys, I have to say this because there's a sector of men inside the church out here in these streets talking about, women at their ripe age and so forth. And they think women that are younger, right? Teen moms are the perfect age group to have children, even though they don't realize that a young woman's body is not meant to have children, to bear children like that, because it can cause them a lot of health problems. Their children actually can have a lot of challenges. And so I find that to be fascinating. I love the word fascinating. Someone give me another word. Go to the thesaurus. So yeah, it is a very interesting thing. So onward and upward in this conversation. So like I said, I was a teen mom. And I want to give you all my perspective as an adult woman now, 49-year-old woman, to what I can tell you is the truth of my story. I cannot speak of the truth to my parents and what they emotionally endured when they found out that I was pregnant. So I want to note and put a pin in that, because we never talk to the parents of their daughter and their sons when they find out that there is a a baby on the way. So someone write that down, because one day I will talk about that as well. Hey, Marcy, good morning. So here's what's interesting. So when I was 14, 15 years old, 16, 14, 15-ish. So I was about, I mean, soaking wet, I was about 99 pounds. And that is significant in this story. And I was a high achiever, overachiever, I'd probably say that. So I didn't meet certain criteria. And for all purposes, I would say, like, I was a rule follower. I didn't get in trouble a lot. One time I cussed out one of the teachers because they wouldn't let me talk to my brother in middle school, and I told him he'd kiss my ass, and I went to in school detention or something. So what was to come, who knew, Lord? Because this mouth here is slick. So I didn't meet the criteria of a young woman that was deemed to be a teen mom, whatever that social determinants are. And so I say to you all that I was 99 pounds because at my full pregnancy weight, I went to 105 pounds. Okay. That is at full 9 months. And what was interesting is that I didn't realize I was pregnant now. So a lot of people go, what do you mean you didn't realize? So two things happened. One, my brain could not accept that understanding of pregnancy. And then two, my body, as spectacular as the human body is, did something very different. My period kept happening monthly. So to a 15-year-old girl's mind, I can't be pregnant. So I'm 99 pounds, y'all. And it was not my parents who noted that I was pregnant first. It really wasn't even me. It actually was my track coach, because I ran track from 3rd grade all the way into college. So what I recall is that my track coach pulled me aside one day and said, your body is changing. Are you pregnant? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know. Because when I tell y'all I was a hurdler, I ran cross country, I ran every day. So there was nothing to me that was like standing out that was anything different. So I was in great shape. I was running all the time. So my track coach said something to me and I was like, no, because denial is a real thing. And you can actually disassociate. And so it did not resonate with me that to be true. Till this day, I do not know how my mother found out. I don't know. I don't know if I told her. I don't know if my track coach called her. I don't know. But when my mother found out, of course, she was upset. My mom fell into when my mom was pregnant with me, she was a teen mom. So just let you know, if you were a teen mom, more than likely, by research studies, your child, some of your children may have teen pregnancies as well. And I recall us going to Planned Parenthood and like going to get checked for the first time because I had no medical care. And so this is because I don't know, y'all, I'm 15. And so let me tell you something. When we look at young people, we need to accept that brain function and brain design the brain is not fully functional until 25, I think it is. And so some things that young people endure, their actions that they take, it doesn't process well. So I could be book smart. I don't know. There's not much about the world I couldn't say that I knew at that time, right? I knew certain things, but your brain is not there. That's just science, y'all. So y'all could argue with your mama on that one. Not this weekend, because you got to celebrate your mommy. So we went to see if I could have an abortion because I was not opposed to it. And let me just say this to you, that I don't recall having a conversation with my mother about what actions I should take. So put a pin in that, because I'm about to be a mother. And so I don't know if my mom made that decision for me to say, okay, we're just going to have to go go get an abortion. And if you know me, my mommy is a ride or die. So this is not a I'm throwing my mommy under the bus story, because she was being a parent to me. And so, and I am blessed for that. So, but we found out that I was like 6 or 7 months pregnant and could not do that. So, it is my June, I don't remember, sophomore and junior year. And what do we do, right? Mom is having I'm going to be pregnant. Like, y'all, let me tell you something. When it kind of hit me, I remember thinking, oh my God, the very first thing, because this has stayed with me all my life, is that I don't want to be a statistic. Now that's interesting, because in the world of identity, as I talk about, it wasn't as if it didn't dawn on me that I had already had labels and statistics, right? Because I have statistics because I'm a Black girl, right? I have statistics that I'm a woman, but I distinctly remember, oh my God, I don't want to be a statistic. And so that meant, like, I didn't want to be a teen mom, because I knew that there was such negativity around being a teen mother. It is like, and this is where I talk about the shame, right? I know young women have been put out of churches, they have to drop out of school. In fact, teen moms have like 50% of teen mothers don't graduate from high school. And so I just knew it was a bad thing, right, to be a teen mother. And I remember I did not want that label. But what could I do, right? Because I was there. I was already there. But I also made a decision in that moment where I was just like, well, you know what? I'm not going to ever get married. I'm sorry, y'all. And I said I wasn't going to cry. And I forgot my tissues today. But I remember that at like 14 and a half, 15 years old, that, so I made that decision, y'all. So here I was as a nerdy girl, and my mother did her best, right? And so I love my mother, y'all. And so, so now we got to go into action. But before action, I want to pause and I want to stay with this idea of shame, because let me tell y'all, it hurts my heart to think about what young women have to go through, because I went through it. And I can tell you, I have a huge family. I've got a lot of women in my family, and I've got family members watching this show now. So if you know me, I'm gonna tell the truth. And so I didn't have a lot of my family members that were supporting me, and my mother and my father. And I'm just gonna say that too, because, and I don't know all of the conversations that were had amongst the adults. But I do know one of the conversations that made it back to me was simply this, and this is what was said about me. Because of the relationship that I had with certain aunties in my family, that they said, well, now I hope this will put her in her place. That is what was said about me. And that sits in my spirit. And I'm still, y'all, listen, I usually don't share, swear on the show, but there's just some folks I don't fuck with in my family because of stuff like that. Because I'm like, you should not harm a young person like that. But it's true. That story is true. And so I had family members who literally thought, if I were to, because I was pregnant, that because I was so smart, because I was successful as a young person, because my one job was just to be a great student, that they thought because I was pretty, they thought because of all of these things, that me being pregnant was going to put me in my place. And I'm grateful for my parents for not, thank you for that, for not putting me out. So I came from a middle-class family, y'all. So in the school district that I came from was like the top school district. So I didn't get put out of school. I didn't. My mom actually took me to a school in Syracuse, New York. It was the Florence Crittenden School for teen moms. And so this school is fantastic. And these schools are across the country. And Florence Crittenden, I'm telling you, an amazing, amazing woman who had the heart to take care of young teen moms and say, we cannot throw them away and we have to give them care. And so the school had doctors on the premises, education on the premises. But guess what, y'all? I couldn't go. I couldn't attend the school. I toured the school. The principal took my mother aside and said, we cannot keep her here because educationally wise, we cannot give her anything because she's at the college level. She is at the collegiate level. So that is very rare, because I had sister girls who got pregnant with me in high school at different times. And even though they made it through, their life was not like mine. So I am blessed by the support that my mother and my father gave to me. So my school actually provided for me a tutor. No, actually, I didn't even get a tutor because I was homeschooling myself before that was a thing. So I got all my homework. I was able to stay at home so I could travel back and forth because I was going from the suburbs to the city. And so that's what my schooling was like. And so I kept on top of my grades, all the things. The other day, my bestie said to me, you were on the path of success anyway. And I was like, but wait a minute, that is a lot to say, because I can't tell y'all if I was scared. I don't recall feeling scared. I recall feeling, am I still going to be able to do what I needed to do? Because guess what? When I looked up, what are the reasons why are girls getting pregnant, right? And so this is so fascinating, y'all. And I'm gonna go back to, it's not because young women are hypersexualized. It's not because they are fast. Do you know a lot of young women get pregnant because they cannot foresee that their goals, that their dreams, that what they are wanting for their lives may come true. They've given up. So imagine at 15, you feel like the life that you want, you can't have. So what you choose to do is get pregnant and have a baby so that way you can pour into that child. And on the reverse side of it is that that child can pour into you. So that is one of the main drivers. And I loved that article because it was just like, oh, wow, interesting. Because no one seems to ask that question. That research is not prevalent. Why? And it's beyond the social determinants. And when I say why, I'm like, can we ask the individual? What happened? Why did that occur? And even parents don't want to hear that. So that was my journey. And of course so that was my schooling. And I ended up going back to school, didn't get off honor roll, wasn't knocked down, wasn't knocked off of honor roll, was still in marching band. And so I just want to say this too, that another article I read said, and it's a BuzzFeed article, and it said, what was surprising about being a teen mom? And here's another sector of the conversation that we never talk about. And so put a pin in that, y'all, write that down so I can be like, okay, I need to do a 10-minute conversation about this. Is that the idea of, so imagine you are a parent, your daughter gets pregnant, she is now a mother, and now we have two moms in the house. Okay. So one of the things that was on BuzzFeed in this article was, how do you parent a parent? How do you change that dynamic? Because it is a real shift to parent a teenager who has a child. And so that is very interesting because I had this dynamic with my mother, and not in the space of my mother didn't let me parent because I recall my mother, I think my mother did a great job being a mom. So I knew that she is going to help me and help me with this child. So it wasn't a problem for me. But there were times when she had to allow me to still be a teenager. We don't talk about that, because just because a young woman has a child between 15 and 19, that doesn't mean that her own social needs and growth don't need to be met anymore. And I think society is just like, throw them to the wind. They're now adults. Because guess what? I still had to navigate my sexuality, my understanding of sex, my understanding of the legal world, right? Because my mom insisted, even though I thought it was just like, why do I need to do this? My mom insisted and took me down to the courthouse to, like, I guess, get a blood test, like a paternity test done, and put my child's father on child support, right? And I was like, why? I was a no in that, but my mother, my parents made the decision for me. And so that is a very interesting space, because if you're a 15-year-old, y'all, and that 15-year-old is still in school, guess what? Her mother has to still sign permission slips for certain things for her. So it is a very interesting dynamic and dance. We don't talk about who's responsible for paying for daycare or diapers or all of those things. And then not only that, but there's the emotional side for the 15 to 19-year-old about shame. Shame. Not only you may have family members shaming you, you may have your social circles shaming you, but you have to live with shame, guilt, all of these types of things that no one talks to 15 to 19-year-olds about. And so, and then you're like, oh my gosh. And Emily, I see you. And I see when you said, people being disappointed in you, that's a lot to carry. We don't have those conversations with these young women. And my heart is full of love and full of understanding all of the things of disappointments that get carried in this space. So you have this really weird dance, because if you have a teen mom in your home, there's a space for independence there, one would hope. But I can tell y'all too, I come from a West Indian household. So there was like, listen, there was no like, I was not bucking up with my mother. But it was really interesting. This is an interesting dance, and this is an interesting conversation. And I know I'm covering a lot of topics, but I just want you all to be aware, because this is what the whole point of this podcast is bringing awareness, and hopefully it changes some people's thought processes. Because like I said, I am not saying I'm a proponent of young women out here intentionally getting pregnant. What I'm saying is that when it occurs, we need to be in a space of how we are treating those young women. How do we support those young women? How do we support the parents in this space? Because guess what? These women are worthwhile. And, the shame, the disappointments, the name calling, because women like that are called whores, and they're fast, and, all of these types of things. And then to say that, and I have to breathe, and then to say your life is over with. Good morning to Maju. Hey family. Hey cousin. Love you. To say that a woman's life is over with. And I promise you, that is the, when I'm told, that I hope that puts her in her place. Why are we telling young women that their lives are over with? Because if God's greatest creation is a person, and women are bringing children into this world, why aren't we at least knowing and understanding that socially that there's a gift coming, and yet we need to ensure that gift, because that young woman was a gift at one point in time, and we can't say she's no longer a gift. Okay. But we need to pour into her to ensure that her gifts and her goals can still occur. And for me in my life, once again, being blessed by the fact that I have parents, and I had teams of people that were still, that surrounded me in high school that kept saying, you got to keep going, because my light didn't diminish. And so it was interesting because another a conversation that I had with my mother was, I didn't really have a conversation with my mother. I am, like, I went to work because in my mind, I was like, my mommy is not responsible for this child. And just let you all know, my child support at the time was $25 a month. And y'all, I still don't have the $25. It maxed out at, I think it maxed out at $4,500. Yeah, y'all. And that was in 2000 and I'm trying to think when baby doll was born, 2020, 2009, that maxed out. So yeah, so I had $25 a month in child support that I was granted, and I went to work, and I managed a baby, and my child care was taken care of. I just want to let you know there were some social programs that kicked in. I had WIC. A lot of us know women, infant children, where you get food and so forth. But my mom carried me and raised me financially, socially, emotionally, and then poured into my son at the same time, right? So there are things that can happen for children, for young women, I'm sorry. And then, but I went to work because I felt like financially I was responsible. And then when it came time for my senior year, of course, it didn't dawn on me not to go to college, because I was on the college path, y'all. I was on the college path. And so I had two big acceptance letters. One was to Oswego State, and I had a full ride for 4 years to Oswego State, up in Oswego, New York. And the thing is that I could take my son with me. The other school was Colgate University, in upstate New York. And my guidance counselor, sorry, y'all, intervened because I was going to go to Oswego State so I could take my son with me. And y'all, I had a baby boy, by the way. And he said, no, you're not going to Oswego State. You're going to go to Colgate University. It's an Ivy League school. That's where you belong. And so then a different choice had to be made. Do I go to college? Do I not want to go to college? And when I tell you, when I was a little girl, I taught myself how to read. And I went to school with a briefcase in kindergarten because I was that into school. When I'm telling you, I'm a nerd girl for life. It started young. And so time came to make a college decision. And for me to attend Colgate University, my daddy took my son. And my son moved to New Jersey. And my daddy raised my son for me so I could attend Colgate University and to give me the space to be a young woman in college. And because of my daddy, I was able to travel the world, continue traveling the world. I got a great education. But a lot of women it's not like that for me because they are thrown away, and they're made to stop. When I think about all of my sister girls, and I've got a lot of sister girls, and thank God for Facebook that I can see how they have been, how it's possible for them to have had children and go on to live their lives. I was so impressed when, because my life went on. I became an IT consultant. I I guess I'm a success story, right? Because that label could have been something that was supposed to stop my life. And I mean, like, I have sister girls now, like I said, we are 49 years old that are just now getting their college degrees. So they worked different types of jobs just to ensure that their children were taken care of. And I have mad respect for them, but it breaks my heart. Like, I had a sister girl that I promise you, I came, when you go back home from college or you go back home after you graduate, and I moved out of state. I didn't live in New York State after graduating. And I will never forget finding out that my sister girl, whose dream it was to become a flight attendant, and in high school, she had 2 children already. And when she became a flight attendant, I'm telling you the joy I had for her, y'all, in the joy for the fact that her foster mom took care of her and her children with great pride. And I know that's not for everybody. And I do have a question on the table, because I see someone says, how do we break this stigma? Well, I think it's about the value, right? And let me just say this. I think it's okay to go into shock. I think it's okay to have dreams and hopes for your children. And I think we need to be very honest in our society around sexual behavior, increasing our knowledge base around what resources are out there, and how do we make a plan for this young woman. The other side of it is that, can we please start holding the young man accountable, because everybody is not Mary from the Bible. So we all just didn't get pregnant by ourselves. But the stigma comes from individual value systems, right? If your value system holds a space of shaming somebody else, you're not living your life right, in my opinion. If you feel like a young woman is a throwaway person because she had a gift inside of her, your value system is not right. So in that space, and we got to talk about this. That's why I mentioned the word shock, because shock is something that, can we just say, it freezes your body, it freezes your brain for a moment, where you're just like, you cannot understand, and you don't know how to process something, and you don't know how to act. So I'm okay with that in regards to parents in society going into that space. But guess what? We cannot stay in that space where we move into a harmful space for that young woman. And when you move into the space of harm, not only are you killing the spirit of that young woman who is already emotionally taxed, because she doesn't know what's going on with her body. She may not understand how this world is going to change for her. But that is a societal thing, that look at our value systems, right? That is something we don't think about. And I remember, so in 2009, right, the show Teen Mom came out. And I think I watched one episode of Teen Mom, and I was like, this is some foolishness. And let me tell you why. So, in the world of reality TV, when they are seeking people to put on TV, it seems like they select the most problematic dynamics and families and all that kind of stuff. And Teen Mom, I still don't know if Teen Mom is still on, but that was the messiest thing I have ever seen. And it was just messy. Socially, it was messy. Emotionally, it was messy. Because the other thing about this is that we need to be able to understand that a young person should not be thrown into adult situations without guidance. And so you might say, but wait a minute, they got pregnant. That was an adult choice. Okay, let me just tell y'all something. There are 30-year-old women, there are 40-year-old women who get pregnant and still don't know what the hell is going on. and can't make the best decisions in that space. But I say this to say that the guidance still needs to be there, right? The guidance still needs to be there. The families need to come together and try to work together around how do we manage this dynamic. And dear Lord God Jesus, can we please stop forcing young women to stay with the little boy that they got pregnant with? Because that it may not be a fit. So that is causing conflict. And that is something else, right? Remember, I said in Western societies, like the problem is like they're unmarried. These young women are problems because they're unmarried, because they're having children. A child, that young woman does not have to be with that young man. Just like an adult woman doesn't have to be with a man that she got pregnant with. That does not, that's my stance. Okay, that's my stance. And so Lorraine, that's my cousin, y'all. She says, I once heard of a young lady who committed suicide because of the shame she felt. Yeah, I'm telling you, shame happens two ways. It's an internal and it's an external thing. And so if your internal shame, if your internal shame is motivated and grown because the external shame is being laid upon you, I can see her breaking. And may she rest in peace. Because now her family has to understand and know the loss, and the reason why she's no longer here is because of what was put upon them. And that's not to say, I promise you, that it's not a hard journey. It is a hard journey. One day I don't have a lot of time because I will talk about some of the losses and the conflicts around somebody else raising my son for 4 years. Because I'm telling you, it was a whole mood. It's a mood, as they say. And there's a lot of challenges around that. It's a lot of challenges around trying to be a parent when you are trying to figure out who your own identity is. And moms don't have handbooks. It doesn't matter if it's at 15 years old up into, 60 something. I don't know how long women are having babies. But we do not come with handbooks. And when you have a young person trying their best to determine who they are, raise a baby, still be a daughter to parents, that is a whirlwind of emotional challenges, emotional conflicts, and social conflicts that are present. And so it's interesting. Because, the idea of a success story, I was looking up. Can you guys still hear me? Because my microphone just went a little wild there. What is deemed to be a success, right? Because for the first time, I'm just like, it's time to throw away that label of teen mom. But it fascinates me because a lot of women that I know that were teen moms, here's the first thing that fascinates me. They are in service to others. Hear me when I say this. They are nurses. They are therapists. They are on path to serve others. I can look at my sister girl crew and go, wow, we all work in service. I find that to be so interesting. And maybe it's the idea of giving back to others what was not given to them. Maybe it's the idea of giving other people skills that they themselves didn't have or no one poured into them. So I love that. Two, I just say, let's throw away the stigma of being a teen mom. Like, it's the death of death. I mean, you would think a teen mother was like the worst of the worst. Not the teen father, but the teen mother. And let me just say, by the time that parents seem to forget that young people have their own thought processes. I just want to say that. So 15, 16, 17, they're already going into their own identity, and mom and dad's responsibility is to help guide and give and share life stories and so forth. I have 3 children. That's what I do. But the fact of the matter is that young people go young people and do what they do. And I am not a product of parent amnesia. where I forget what it means to be a teenager. Because Lorraine, that's the other thing. Let's not forget what and who we are, who we were as young people, because that is going to stop some of this shame. Because I promise you, the idea of shaming a young woman for having sex when you knew you had sex as a young person, don't think you won a prize just because you didn't get pregnant. That's a fact, because life will life at certain times in your life. And so to me, a challenge is just a challenge no matter when it occurs in your life. And so so the idea of success, right? Like I've had 3 children. I had to get past this idea of, would a man want me because I was pregnant? And listen, y'all, there's a whole conversation to be had around, do we have this, or is there value to a young woman whose virginity produced a child, right? And so, and we know now in 2024, we got grown men out here talking about a woman that, like me, who had a child is no longer of value. And I can say I met a man when I graduated from college that I fell in love with. Because actually, y'all, after one child, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And not because I was like, it's a horrible experience. Listen, I did not get pain medication. I was like, this is not for me. And fell in love with him. And, he loved me. He loved my son. And so that is just a part of my life story. And so, and I know a lot of women feel this way. And what is our values? And our values should not have changed. Except for the fact that we had brought a little charming little person into this world that didn't choose to be here. And like I said, I truly believe that we are going to see a lot more we're going to see a lot more young parents because of these abortion laws. And so I just want to pause and say, Yoruba, give me a few more minutes. And thank you, Lorraine, for your question. I do wonder, does anyone have any questions in the chat? Anybody want to ask me a question? And so thank you all for the kudos. Thank you for the text messages saying, breathe, Kay. And it's not that, and I don't have shame. I don't have shame anymore. But I will land on this. If you have a curious question, pose that question to me. I will say this though, that in the land of identity and how people perceive you, when I went to university, now here's a higher level institution, Colgate University, and I love my alma mater. I got Colgate stuff all around my house. In the minority community, because there's so many, it's such a small Black community, or minority Black and everybody else, Black and brown community. It's so small that by the time I arrived at university, everyone already knew that there was a young woman coming to Colgate that had a baby. And that was shocking. And it was kind of like, what is this all about? Like, and not in a negative way, but here's some things. Like, I did have an adult woman who was at the university that was literally trying to chat up my life around, like, trying to understand, like, oh, she had a baby. What does that mean? Like, she's here because guess what? I'm not supposed to be at a Ivy League. Obviously, if I got pregnant, I can't be smart. Right? Because those assumptions are there. But let me tell you this, a lot of the young men on campus felt as if I was supposed to be sexually promiscuous because I had a baby. And so that's an interesting dynamic too, because not only, once again, most young people go to university, and when it comes to sex, this is where a lot of young people understand their definition of sex, how they want to have sex, all of that type of stuff. And sorry, I should have told y'all this was grown conversation over here today. But I had those challenges. Like, dude just thought I was going to be like, oh, yeah, let's just whatever. And I'm like, I don't like y'all like that. I had the same behaviors that I had then now. Like, y'all can get out my face with that nonsense. So it was just really interesting. And so when I was at Colgate, you know, my freshman year, my first semester was hard, y'all. It was really hard because I wanted to be a mother. And I don't know if most people know this, but like I almost flunked out my first semester because I didn't really talk to my professors about it. I didn't go to, initially, I didn't go to my, I can't even think about what his title is in university, but you know, like your own guidance counselor, that kind of thing. But I got called into the office because they were like, what is going on? And I was just like, listen, I have this baby. My son was 2.5 when he went to go live with my father. And it was hard, y'all. It was hard. And I would sit in class and I would feel the guilt of not being a mother and not having him with me. And so when the school administration found out, they gave me such grace around, I mean, I think they even let me go to New York for a while to see him, and then come back and reset. And I had to learn how to be a parent from a distance. And I had to learn how to be a college student that didn't have this parent title. So my titles kept shifting. And then my senior year, I actually brought my son to college with me. And that in and of itself was wild too, because he was the most famous person on campus, y'all. I mean, like he was in the dorms. People would come and take him for play dates. He would play with the soccer team. It was just fascinating to the point that, I mean, it was hilarious. Like, and when I went to go to university, like when I had to go off campus to, when I had to be in New York City for job interviews, my girlfriends took him on. Like he was in the frat houses. He was in the sorority houses. He was with people. He went to elementary school in Hamilton, New York. That's where he started his little educational career. And then now at that point in time, I still have to figure out how to be a parent to him. Because one time, I'm no lie, I wanted to fight him, y'all, because he has a curious spirit. And at 5 years old, he decided he was going to throw away all my earrings. I was hot. I was a broke college student, y'all. And so with, trying to deal with those dynamics. But in that senior year in 1997, I was on the cover of the Colgate Maroon News because I was supposed to be an oddity when the truth of the matter was I wasn't an oddity, meaning being a teen mother on campus, because there was friends of mine who actually became pregnant, visibly pregnant on campus. And so the school newspaper wrote this article about me and my son. And they wrote stories about everyone else on campus that were hiding the pregnancies. People hid it. And so that was eye-opening for me because once again, we live in the shame of these stories and our life journeys. So it's just interesting, y'all. And so that's my story. And I guess I'm a success because I have 4 degrees. I've had 15th careers. I am now a businesswoman. Never would have thought that I would have, been an entrepreneur. And so, but I can tell you what, as a mother, every choice I made has ever been done for the betterment of my children, and the betterment of me, because my mother didn't allow me to fall into the trap of the shame and the guilt. Well, let me tell you this. No one can prevent another person's internal feelings of guilt. I can tell you that. So, because I don't like to keep my producer over too long, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening. Hopefully, I gave you a little bit of insight about some things that maybe just to think about. How do you support? And on my to-do list, I have to put it back on my to-do list all these years, is that I need to speak more to teen moms, give them the understanding of let's make a plan, as well as just be supportive of young women's journeys. And young women, I mean, all the way into your 20s, right? Because I know some of us have parents that got pregnant at 19 and 20, still don't know. We still don't know. But the community is there. So I'm going to close, and I see Tracy. Hey, fam. Are you coming to Atlanta in a couple of weeks so we can jump up? Tracy said one of her closest friends was a non-traditional student with 2 kids. And yes, Emily, I just hope we talk about this a lot more, because I'm not holding on to the shame. And I think that a lot of women kind of throw away that title and that label because it carries a lot of judgment. And I can't judge you for, if we want to call it make a mistake, if you got pregnant intentionally, that's your choice. Because everything has consequences in this life, and we got to be in the space of accepting them, whether they're positive or negative. And so, but when we're grown, I'm not going to allow anyone to shame me, not when I have accepted all the things in my life. And I just feel it necessary to say, if you belong to a church that believes in shaming young women and punishing young women for becoming pregnant and not sharing that same punishment with young men, I have a problem with you. I'm just going to say that. Get out the church. I have a problem with that church. Y'all can tell the pastor to come for me if you want to. But I just want to say that I did kind of want to say, like, who are some famous teen moms, because who are also success stories. And I'm just going to define success as in the space of something that we were not expected to do, but overcame and did it anyway. So Loretta Lynn, famous coal miner's daughter. Oh, I love me some Loretta Lynn, y'all. Aretha Franklin was a teen mom. Fantasia, who I love to death, was a teen mom. And Sophia, what's her name? Vergara, the actress, was a teen mom. And I can name so many of my sister girls who were teen moms as well, that despite the shame and the judgments of this world, decided to go ahead and fight for their lives, fight for their goals, fight for their dreams, no matter how long it took them to achieve that. And so I am going to end there on that. And so thank you for joining me this morning. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for allowing me to take deep breaths and shed a little bit of tears, because it's just a space of love that I have for everybody. It's a space of love that I feel like we need to give to others, and just know that the journey that we are on called life is full of challenges, and being a teen mother is one of them. That's not the only one, and life does not end there. So I appreciate you all. Have a good day. If you all are in Atlanta, y'all, it just got really dark. And storm warnings, thunderstorm warnings are a-coming, as they say. So thank you for joining me. I'm Kadada Esmera Gray, conflict coach from Life Coaching Today Presents. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Onward, upward. Love you all, fam. I need to see y'all soon. Soon come, as they say. Till next Thursday, y'all. Bye. And don't forget to vote.
Thank you for watching Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kadada Gray and produced by Aruba Saad. Our mission at Life Coaching Today is to empower your health, business, community, and life. Check us out at lifecoachingtoday.com.